very good afternoon, Charterpreneurs of India. I'm Lakshya Chhabra, co-founder at Charterpreneur, and I welcome you all to our very first session. Thank you so much for joining us. So as students, we often feel the need for a reliable, safe, and comfortable housing solutions, yeah? And if we are living away from our families to pursue our education or jobs for that matter, it becomes even more of a necessity. And we struggle to find such a place that has all the facilities and yet the prices are pocket friendly. So today we have with us one such individual who has not just started such a service for students like us, but has also ensured to make it a successful startup. I would like to welcome Mr. Vaibhav Khanna, co-founder of Easy Stays. Vaibhav is also a chartered accountant by profession and comes from a business consulting background. He has worked with KPMG as a senior executive, apart from other consulting firms, and later started mentoring founders of early stage startups. Let us take this opportunity to know more about Vaibhav, his journey as a CA, and later as an entrepreneur. And for the same, I would also like to invite my teammate Tanmay to take the conversation forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Tanmay from Charterpreneur. So, hey, Vaibhav, how are you?
Good to meet so many aspiring chartered accountants on a Sunday afternoon.
So delighted to have you here in our maiden knowledge session. Being a CA and into startups, which very few are, we truly look forward to hear from you about your journey.
Happy to share here. I mean, it's been a great journey when you talk to investors and tell them you're a chartered accountant. At least they know that you have your numbers in place, which a lot of other startups don't.
True. That's so true. So, Vaibhav, to know about your journey, I would like to know what made you to choose chartered accountancy as a course. And did you think of entrepreneurship when you were a CA or you joined the course that you joined the path of entrepreneurship?
Okay, so for me, my father's a chartered accountant. So while I was growing up, and he's a role model, right? So for me, I think what for me adulting meant, doing chartered accountancy. And there was a funny story. I met a friend after I qualified as a chartered accountant. We were there together in maybe third, fourth grade, and I told him that I became a CA. He told me that while you were in class third and your class teacher would ask you what you wanted to be, people would have funny answers like I want to be an astronaut and I want to be a hero or whatever. And he said that at that point in time also, I remember you said you wanted to be a CA. So for me, it was always something that I thought made sense to kind of go forward in a career, and it was a default choice. Actually, I did my regular college also, which was something my father forced me to because he didn't do regular college. So I'm from Delhi University, Colonial College. And that is, and I was lucky. I mean, while I started my regular college, the institute changed their course, which they quite often do of how to pursue. So they introduced IPCC at that point in time. I was one of the first ones to give IPCC, so I could pursue my college and then I side by side give my exams while I was there. For me, entrepreneurship. I think I had a very interesting experience while I was in college. My uncle, my dad's brother, he has a business and a very traditional business in Delhi. I don't know if you guys know of Chandni Chowk, which is a very hub, kind of a wholesale hub, and Chandni Chowk has a different business around them and how they work. So it was interesting while I was in college in second and third year. I was near my college, so I would go after college to his business, and the way they did business was very interesting, very different to what the world was, and I didn't know about how things were happening in the world. While I did that for 2 years, my immediate next step was to join KPMG, and it was a stark difference, right, from Chandni Chowk to KPMG, and that is when started with audit. The good part was at doing audit is that you keep on getting to know a lot of new businesses. You need to understand how businesses are run, um, what their sales strategy is, what products they're doing, what is the costing behind it. So that is something that interested me. It did a lot of interesting businesses. I was lucky that I didn't get allocated to a Pepsi or a Ranbaxy kind of a client while I was at a Big Four. Because then you don't really need, you can't understand businesses completely. I did smaller clients, and because I did them individually, so I had to understand the entire business model, give my manager and then my partner complete understanding of what the business is. And did e-commerce, did a helicopter servicing company, then did this. Google Maps were not there at that point in time. Did Map My India, which is now I think bought by Flipkart. Did that as a client. So had a very interesting journey while I was doing my articleship, and then I qualified. I didn't want to do audit and tax, so then shifted to consulting.
Very well. And so, Vaibhav, also do you think that before going for entrepreneurship, one should take an exposure by working in the industry or a consulting firm, or like he can start on his own, or like he should have an experience beforehand of working in the outside world?
Uh, it's a very personal call for everyone. They have their own perspective of it. I am of a firm opinion that you need to work before you start thinking of entrepreneurship. Uh, Maybe I come from a old school of thought because when I started my career, you didn't have these many learning opportunities also, right? Like you guys are doing this right now. In 2008, when I joined CA, nobody knew something of this sort could happen, right? Or you would have to go to auditoriums, maybe if you are lucky to know something, if something's happening. Uh, but and maybe that might change things, right? Maybe people can start entrepreneurship or can even think of doing something of their own even before experiencing anything anywhere else. But I somehow feel that it makes more sense to work somewhere, understand the actual working. So even if I take my example, right, even though when I was in a consulting firm and worked very closely with founders and with something businesses which are similar to us. So 91 Springboard, which is India's first co-working space. WeWork came in later in India, although obviously on Bahar wo pehle se tha, but they made their business plan at our office. I was very closely involved in structuring their accounting, their MIS, and spent uh, good 5, 6, 7 hours every month with them for them when they went to when they went through their numbers. And I realized, अच्छा नहीं मुझे भी आता है कैसे कर रहे हैं business. But when I started my own business, right, when I started Easy Stays, you realize that that's just one bit of it, right? I mean, doing a business of your own, there are so many things that go wrong on a daily basis. There are so many fires that you have to kind of put water over. You might plan your day, think of 10 things that you would want to do in the morning before going to the office. And once you go there, there's a different fire that's burning, right? And then you have to do everything, and then you start doing that. So I think the actual on-ground experience is important, and I think you should step into entrepreneurship post that.
Great, great, Vaibhav. This also happens with our CA studies. We think of something and we end up doing something.
Absolutely, but you guys now have a lot of resources, man. I was in our CA office the other day, and these guys were on their mobile looking at courses, classes, and all. While I was doing my articleship, you had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go for a class before your articleship. Things are changing for the better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So now about your startup, Easy Stays, which is a student accommodation. It is a co-living space. And so we would like to know more that was this co-living sector on your mind for some years, or it was just a prompt idea?
Uh,
And how you thought of providing a solution to the problem?
Uh, so co so I'm co-living was something because I did co-working, right, as part of 91 Springboard, and understood that space well. So I was kind of had an inclination towards shared economy, understood how these guys are working and the numbers and stuff. We are three brothers. I'm the eldest one. Though I did my education from Delhi University, so I didn't have to go and stay somewhere else. But my younger brother, he did his MBA from Narsimhanji, and while he was there, he had a very hard time finding accommodation. I went with my cousin to help him settle because he was very busy with his classes, and he could not shift after a month of doing his MBA. And I realized that there's nothing that's available, man. The space there is, and there is so much a student that migrates internally to pursue education because education's kind of there are hubs in our country that have a lot of education institutes nearby, and students have from all over the country have to travel. So that was always on the mind in terms of trying to understand whether there's a need for it or not. When I decided to get into this, I did it with a couple of people who are already from this space. I'm a chartered accountant, right? I don't no housing as a solution कि इनको menu में क्या देना है, खाने में क्या देना है, क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना, मतलब operationally it's a heavy business. So you need to have people who have on-ground experience. I only bring help them with the startup side of these things and the process side of things and the finance side of things and the investment side of things. And for that also, I also have to understand the business. So once this opportunity came by, we did a lot of research in terms of the space, the current service providers, and what is happening. And that is when I decided to kind of jump ship and do this full time.
Their testimony to your statement that finding a good accommodation in Mumbai is a very difficult task, because I have been in Mumbai for a year and it was like truly very difficult to find a good place to live in.
So Narsimuji, my brother went to Hyderabad, and right now my sister-in-law got admitted to Narsimuji, Bombay. And I was looking for a space for her, and it's criminally expensive, man, to get a pet here. As a 40,000 bucks for a month. I mean, we charge 1,10,000 for the entire year, and give you food and everything also inside. So yeah, that's true. I mean, very geographically dependent in terms of the solution that you have to put.
Industry is also like very highly unorganized right now. We don't have many organized players and a proper solution for that problem.
Absolutely. I mean, if you really look at it from a broad numbers perspective, about 40 million students that are pursuing higher education, and about 14 million of them are migrating internally. The beds that are provided by education institutes on their own are only about 3 to 4 million. So there's a white space of 10 million beds that are not there. And these are the students that are staying in very unorganized PGs, which are not standardized at all. And especially in a post-COVID world, when you are wanting something that is standardized, there's a lot of chance now your thought process change towards your own cleanliness and hygiene. I think the time's right to be providing this as a.
What is the appropriate model? Like, can you explain us the model? Are you working on a lease properties, or you manage the properties of other owners? So how is your like company doing it?
We started by a pure lease model. We took buildings on a fixed lease and then managed these properties. Uh, we have what we've done is we've tied up with colleges and institutes to provide housing to their institute to their students only. So these guys already have an intake. Like so, Christ University in Bangalore, they have a campus here in Ghaziabad. They're a new campus. So when we tied up with them, it was just the second year, and they had about 700, 800 students with them. They could only accommodate about 100 of them inside campus, and they really needed a solution for a housing provider. So we took these buildings on lease, and we get these students there. Now with COVID coming in, we are also looking at a lot of revenue share arrangements with our landlords to basically kind of help us mitigate our risk of lockdowns. And in terms of if you look at it, so we are pure operators of these buildings when we take these buildings on lease.
Also, Vaibhav, how did you manage the technology part of the startup? Because like being a CA, we are not tech guys. So how did you manage to do all of this thing? And what are the other challenges that you faced while starting this venture?
Technology is not about coding only, right? अगर कोई भी और स्टार्टअप है, अगर वो खुद भी अगर IIT से है तो वो खुद बैठ के कोड नहीं करते. वो और IIT सारे इंजीनियर्स जो होते हैं वो कोडिंग वाले नहीं होते, और मैकेनिकल एंड दिस एंड दैट, राइट? For technology, you need to be smart. You need to understand what is out there, what you need a solution for, and how it is to be implemented. I don't think that from a standpoint of saying that हम chartered accountant हैं और हमें technology समझ नहीं आती makes any sense. You really need to understand businesses. You really need to understand most of these businesses, unless you're talking tech business, right? If it's a SaaS product, आप बना ही हो रहे हो तो वो अलग बात है. But अगर आप traditional business कर रहे हो, where traditional भी क्या मतलब any business with technology an enabler, right? Then I don't think we have anything that we should be kind of concerned with or have that in our mind also कि हमें नहीं आता है. We are smart guys, right? I mean, cracking the CA paper is not easy. And maybe the course is kind of Baba Adam ke zamane ka, and they're not teaching you a lot of good stuff, but it still is a testament of how smart you are and whether you apply it on the right thing. So for me, I understand technologies, right? It's not that I don't. I understand most of the things the other guys would do. मैं code नहीं कर सकता हूँ, but उसके लिए मेरे को करने की जरूरत भी नहीं है. I can hire people, right? I need to know how to run a business, not build technology. So technology, I understand, is a very important enabler in this. And we've built technology to help us in scaling operations and improving the experience of our students on a regular basis. So we have a resident app, we have a backend software, we are building a software for our wardens to manage the properties. So all of that we're building.
Yeah, so take away from Vaibhav that हम ये सोचते कि हम सीए हम टेक्नोलॉजी पार्ट कैसे मैनेज करेंगे, तो वो एक ऑब्स्टेकल नहीं बनना चाहिए हमारे पूरे प्रोसेस के अंदर. A very important takeaway for all of us. Thank you, Vaibhav. And also, after this COVID, how did it impact the co-living industry? Because like the schools and institutions were closed for a long while. How did you manage this? And it like requires a lot of patience to get through this all things. So we would like to listen from
It
you.
was so I'll tell you why I got into this business. Right, I'm a chartered accountant. I am not a student housing fanatic. Right, it's not something that that comes from a personal need. I got into the business because I found the business very interesting. One of the most important parts of when I was evaluating the business and why I got into it is I thought that this is an education business and not a real estate play. Because what you're doing is you are essentially providing housing to students. Students कहीं नहीं जाएंगे, education institutes कहीं नहीं जाएंगे, recession proof business है. It was interesting. So there's another company that I consulted with, which is travel hostels. तो उसने मेरे से पूछा the owner there, the founder, कि आपके पास जो बच्चे आते हैं उनके पेरेंट्स की disposable income क्या है and stuff. Dude, that does not matter to me. For me, the parents are saving for their entire lives to send a kid to pursue education. So मेरे लिए फर्क नहीं पड़ता disposable income क्या है क्या नहीं है. And that's why I entered this industry. And then COVID came, and nobody knew what is happening. Bloody shut everything down. I remember the first day Modi ji came on TV and said it's a 15-day lockdown. I was like, what the hell am I going to do for 15 days? How can you stay in the house? And then everything got shut. But the good part was, and so we've been able to negotiate with a lot of our property owners. At that point in time, we had about 500 beds with us. We lost about 80 beds where the landlords were very adamant, nahi hame rent chahiye, so we had to leave the properties. The other landlords understood the situation, understood how things are happening, and it was a purpose-built space, right? So you call it a PBSA, purpose-built student accommodation. So if the building is built for that, and government ने बच्चे को आने से मना कर दिया, तो वो rent उनको कैसे दे सकते हैं हम? Didn't make sense, right? I mean, I am doing a business. I can't sell my kidney to pay them rent in terms of trying to run the business. So they understood it. We were lucky. We actually expanded while in COVID. We added another 500 beds. We got students intake, and when things kind of opened in November and December of last year, we were the quickest of the blocks. We achieved 90% occupancy in 7 of our 8 properties. And that is what gave me confidence of the industry again. I also kind of lost confidence while you are home. You don't know anything what you could do, right? In the industry I was in, nothing was in my hand. I mean, मैं घर पे बैठ के कोई business model नहीं बना सकता था which would have helped me do something better in my business. I mean, the government's going to decide when they're going to allow students to come. So it was not in my hand to do anything. But in that meantime, we realized कि हमें किस चीज़ पे काम करना चाहिए, अपना प्रोडक्ट कैसे और बेटर करना है, टेक्नोलॉजी कैसे बेटर करनी है, सर्विसेज कैसे बेटर करनी है, कौन सी प्रॉपर्टी में क्या रेट में हम क्या कर सकते हैं, क्या नहीं कर सकते. We put in time in that, and that's how we survived COVID. Hoping to open up again in the middle of this month to get back to operations again. And by the way, by March of 21, we had annualized revenue of about 13 crores with an investment that we've only raised about 3.5 crore of investment. Other businesses in our space, which are done by non-chartered accountants, they've raised 100 crore rupees, and the turnover was about 2.5 crore. So that's the difference.
Congrats, Vaibhav, for this whole thing. Like you managed 13 crores of revenue post-COVID also, and you managed the whole roller coaster ride very smoothly. Like you expanded, and that's so great. So, how did you manage to fund your startup in the initial years?
So yeah, I feel बिजनेस में खुद पैसे तो लगाने चाहिए. अगर जब तक आप अपने पैसे नहीं लगाओगे तो आप कुछ नहीं कर सकते. पहले 100 बेड के लिए we are 3 founders. We put in money together to put in for the security deposit about 40 lakh rupees. we divided it amongst the three of us, 13-14 lakh each. Immediately after that, after the first 100 beds, we raised money. I was lucky to kind of be in touch with people who believed in my business sense also of my of how I could run a business. So the CEO of KPMG actually, KPMG India, Mr. Richard Reiki, he put in money. He was the first guy who put in check. There was first Cry ka senior vice president. He understood the business, understood the market. He put in money. And then there was a fund out of Singapore. So there's a client of ours, Inc 42. If you guys, anybody who's into entrepreneurship, they'll know Inc 42. So those are very good friends of mine, the three founders, Vaibhav, Utkarsh, and Pooja. So they connected me to a fund in Singapore called Das Capital. They put in a small check. So that's how we started. And then with limited money, we got to about 550 beds, did about 5.2 crore rupees of revenue in the first year. And that's how it started.
Vaibhav, what are the important aspects that one should look while funding and diluting their stake?
There's no science behind raising money. Okay, it's very different. The only difference is between dumb money and smart money. Whether you want to raise money from traditional lalajis, because they also are putting in money right now. Everybody's realized Zomato में 21 लोगों को 100 करोड़ से ऊपर मिल गए, IPO कर लिया, बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप्स, कहाँ बिल हर रोज न्यूज़ खोलो, लिंक्डइन खोलो, एक नया यूनिकॉर्न होता है. So these guys are also exploring alternate investment, but you need to understand that you need to get money from people who can help you in the future, connect you with the right kind of people to help you raise more money, get the right contacts, get the right connections for your business. Dilution and all, I don't think you should hold it too close to your heart. हर बिजनेस का ना हर जगह टाइम होता है, किस टाइम पे क्या चीज जरूरी है उस बिजनेस के लिए. यू नीड टू रियलाइज दैट. आई थिंक एंड ऑल दिस, हम लोग चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स हैं, वी शुड बी सेइंग दैट, बट स्टार्टअप के लिए वैल्यूएशन डज नॉट मेक सेंस एट ऑल. DCF, comparative valuation, all of that, when you're starting up, there's no DCF you could come up with. यार 3 साल के लिए, 5 साल के लिए, 50 साल के लिए भी कर लो अपने फ्यूचर कैश फ्लोज. आज तक किसी की भी आसपास भी नहीं होगी, 10% भी नहीं होगा जो उन्होंने अपना DCF का वैल्यूएशन बनाया होगा. बट इट्स मोर अबाउट व्हाट यू नीड, हाउ मच आर यू, व्हाट काइंड ऑफ मनी यू नीड, एंड व्हाट इज इट दैट द अदर गाय वांट्स इन टर्म्स ऑफ इन रिटर्न फॉर अ परसेंटेज, एंड उसको डिवाइड करके वैल्यूएशन बन जाती है कंपनी. So that is how the businesses are run.
It was an insightful information for us also. And so how to differentiate oneself in a marketplace when there are like multiple players? So how to identify a specific niche for us and how to be different from other startups?
See, हर चीज में ना डिफरेंट होने की कोई जरूरत नहीं होती है. आपको नीश मार्केट पर पता होनी चाहिए. आपको you need to don't have to go out around telling the world why you are different from an X or a Y. Your customers need to experience it. Running a business is all about on ground execution. Ideation, न्यूज में क्या आ रहा है, वो सब, all of that is paid. यार Forbes 30 बन रहे हो, क्या बन रहे हो, I could have been Forbes 30 15-20 लाख रुपए लगते हैं, उससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं होता. मतलब बट बिजनेस में ना, you need to understand your customers. You need to understand उनको क्या चाहिए. आप 100 रुपए अगर किसी ले रहे हो, उसको परसीव करना चाहिए 100 रुपए की जगह 500 रुपए की चीज उसको दे रहे हो. And that is how you will stand out. Nothing else matters, not the noise, not what you're able to get across. And this is very specific to businesses, okay? I am only talking from my personal business perspective. And what I realized, I did not spend a lot of money on Google AdWords. I did not spend a lot of money on Facebook. So I realized मैं जिस location में हूँ ना, Greater Noida और Ghaziabad, and student accommodation, it's not kids like you who are going to decide. So parents first year में जो आओगे तो decide करेंगे आप कहाँ रह रहे हो. Parents are not going to make a decision based on Google AdWords and Facebook ads. They're going to come see me face to face, see कौन बैठा है, कैसा चला रहा है, क्या track record है, and that's how I built my business. I didn't spend money there. मैंने नहीं किया, मैंने इंटीरियर्स में दूसरे मेरे कंपेटिटर्स हैं, उन्होंने 2-2, 4-4 करोड़ रुपए एक बिल्डिंग में लगाए हैं, because they raised that kind of money. मैंने 10-15 लाख रुपए लगाए. I made a good gym, I made a good library, एक वेंडिंग मशीन लगाई जो फ्री में, क्योंकि उसको सामान मिलेगा तो मेरे को वो मिलेगा, बार्टर सिस्टम पे चीजें करी, एंड दैट्स हाउ आई बिल्ट इट. आई मीन रियलाइज क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है. शक्ल मतलब रहना अपने रूम में यार, आपने रिसेप्शन बहुत सुंदर बनी है, उसका आपको क्या करना पूरे साल में? आपने होटल थोड़ी जा रहे हो फॉर अ डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ एन एक्सपीरियंस, राइट? यू आर कमिंग टू give your 3 years 4 years. So what I concentrated on was to get, like you guys are doing this startuppreneur, we have a easy mentor program in Easy Stays. We get CEOs, other industry experts, specific to their courses. जैसे law कर रहे हैं बच्चे तो lawyers को लेके आए to come and speak with them. We got personality development coaches to help them maybe just write their LinkedIn profile. यार आधे से ज़्यादा चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स को भी नहीं आती है LinkedIn प्रोफाइल, उनकी हो ही नहीं है, बनाते ही नहीं है। और ये बच्चे हमारे सारे इंटीरियर से आ रहे हैं, यूपी और बिहार के, उनको नहीं पता है, तो उनको सिंपली उनकी रिज्यूमे राइटिंग करवाना, ग्रुप डिस्कशंस करवाना, दैट्स व्हाट आई रियलाइज इनको चाहिए। इन बच्चों को ये सब जरूरी है, उनको ये जरूरी नहीं है कि इनकी रिसेप्शन कितनी सुंदर है। तो वो दैट इज समथिंग यू रियलाइज आफ्टर अंडरस्टैंडिंग योर कस्टमर नीड्स। वी डिड स्मॉल कॉम्पिटिशन, यार गोलगप्पे वाले को बुला लिया, 2000 रुपए लगे, 5000 गोलगप्पे लेके आया, सारे बंदों को कॉम्पिटिशन, एक ने 60-70 गोलगप्पे खा लिए। दैट्स समथिंग दैट दे क्रिएटेड अ बज अबाउट, राइट? And they enjoy it because their experience while they're coming to college is different. I could have called a superstar also, paid him lakhs of rupees, and वो आके इनसे बात करता, but वो community building नहीं होती उससे हाँ शोर मच जाता है आपके बारे में, but then जो आप essentially चाहते हो कि मैं अगले साल यही बच्चे मेरे लिए और अपने साथ के बच्चे लेके आए, वो नहीं होता। So it's about understanding customer needs and then giving them a value which they perceive is much higher than what they've paid for.
Customer is the king, and Vaibhav, the approach you adopted is very different from others, very unique, and that's the thing that makes you stand out from other players. And also, Vaibhav, you have recently invested in a pet grooming startup also, Flying Fur. So can you tell us about that? What's that?
Yeah, that's actually something that I invested back in 2016. So actually,
2016.
one of my cousins started it. It's very different. You might see me on Shark Tank because of that. We got selected on a first round of Shark Tank India based on that idea. I just applied for round 2. So it was a very unique business model. यार हम लोगों ने mobile pet spa बनाया हुआ है. These tempo travelers have been converted into pet spas, and we come to doorstep to groom your pets. Realized कि ये बड़ी अच्छी स्पेस है, मतलब बोली की बात है, अभी आप अगर फोन करोगे अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए आपको 5-7 दिन तक अपॉइंटमेंट नहीं मिलेगा। वी गॉट नाउ 12 ट्रक्स, वी फ्रेंचाइज्ड आउट टू मल्टीपल सिटीज, hoping to go on Shark Tank because of it. So very interesting business there, and I was only the business part of it. I'm not a pet parent. I'm not a great fan of dogs also. मतलब अच्छे लगते हैं, but ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं मतलब बहुत there are 2 people, right? One are pet people and one are non-pet people. So I'm one of those non-one. But I love business, and we've been able to scale it slowly and steadily. एक बार बस पैसे डाले थे, उसके बाद अपने आप दूसरा ट्रक जब आया था तब मैं आया था। जिस महीने से मैं आया उस महीने से हमने प्रॉफिट बनाया, उससे पहले उन्होंने 9 महीने नुकसान किया था, और उसके बाद से आज तक एवरी मंथ वी मेड अ प्रॉफिट, मेड अ गुड रिटर्न। यार पूरे लॉकडाउन में इजी स्टेज तो चला नहीं, कुत्ते ने ला के पैसे कमाए, मतलब वी गॉट गुड मनी फ्रॉम दैट, एंड it's good business यार. I thought we've been able to build it because we had the right team behind it. There's the one guy who's a pet fanatic, so we always had pet first approach. अगर कोई pet नहीं खुश है, मतलब उसका pet parent खुश नहीं है, we will go again, free service, this that. That's how we built the business. I was the one who brought business and strategy and new business models of how to scale. And then we got someone to invest into the company and become a partner. He runs the largest pet exhibition business in India called PetFed. So he's a Limca book of record holder and stuff to run these, and so he brings the marketing side of it. And that's when we realized we could franchise, because वो अलग-अलग cities में उसके पास pet database और ये सब है. So we went to Chandigarh, we went to Bombay, just launched in Bombay. 5 days D'Souza posted about us. ये सलमान खान का bodyguard शेरा, he posted about us. We're going to other people now. अगले हफ्ते में एक और पूरी influencer activation planned है. So interesting business. It keeps your mind occupied to do new things and stuff.
Okay, then all the best for the second round of Shark Tank. And also, well, what is the one piece of most valuable advice that you would like to give to the startup founders and mostly aspiring CAs who want to go into entrepreneurship?
I really feel that you should not think of yourself second to anyone. I think you, if you're presenting your idea to anyone, आप लोगों को पता होना चाहिए कि what your real value is. You will, whenever you are doing a business, you might not be able, मतलब why not, but आप प्रॉफिट की तरफ देख के बिजनेस करोगे, आप नंबर समझ के बिजनेस करोगे, आप बिजनेस मतलब the way you will build business is going to be different from a engineering guy or someone who comes from a different background, and that is something that people should value and you should value also. So it is important to always hold yourself in high regard in terms of what course you've done, what studies you've pursued, and always play to your advantage. Never think that you don't know technology or you don't know sales or you don't know this. Everybody knows sales. Everybody is selling every time. So that's something inherent with us. Technology is only about how you understand. Obviously, if you want to build a search engine, यहाँ कोई voice enabled कुछ वो technology वाले बंदे कर सकते हैं, right? That's something for them. But maybe for them to when they want to scale, they'll want to hire a CEO. They might want to hire you to scale the business. They can maybe start it but not scale it. So you should always have that advantage with you, and don't shy away from trying out new thing or starting a business. It'll be a great experience. It's a roller coaster ride. It's not as rosy as it seems on the outside, with people raising money and this and that. There's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of people who will put you down. There are a lot of people who will ask you very stupid questions and still think they're smarter than you. You have to take all of that in and still keep on building your business there.
Thanks, Vaibhav, for all these valuable insights from us. Now, I would like to hand over to Lakshay.
So thank you so much for your valuable time. And with this, I think we can conclude today's event. And I would like to extend my gratitude to you, Eva, once again for joining us despite your busy schedule, and for all the participants for contributing to the session's success. And I would further like to thank my fellow teammates Vishal, Tanmay, and Divyanshi for working behind the scenes tirelessly. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.